And so as we get started, I just want to share with folks that I know that you all are here because you're doing good work. You're passionate about making a difference in the world, and I know this as well because I've worked most of my career in government and in the nonprofit sector. But I also know that you work hard, but you're probably also exhausted. And the chances are because you have so many things on your plate, you're constantly putting out fires. There never seems to be enough time and resources to get everything done. And I know that this last year or so, especially with the pandemic, has further complicated those things. And it can feel like we're spending more and more time juggling emails, the texts, the tweets, the meetings, all of those things alongside the increasing complexity and responsibilities in our personal lives. And I know recently here in the US, we're dealing with what's happening with the inauguration, the new president, the insurrection at the US Capitol. And I'm just about 20 minutes away from all of that. So we have that, what's happening in the US, a raging pandemic across the world, and the fact that we're getting back to work after the holiday season. And so if you are feeling not okay, I want to give you permission to not feel okay. If you're feeling exhausted and overwhelmed, I want to give you permission to feel exhausted and overwhelmed. That's perfectly okay. That's a perfectly normal response to what we're experiencing right now, which is not a normal thing. It's not a normal time that we're existing in. So I don't want us to pretend that everything is okay or that everything is normal because it's not. And I think that is one of the best places that we can start in terms of having this conversation around the topic that we're going to be talking about today, which is really about mindfulness, wellness, and productivity in the workplace, and specifically what are the best apps for facilitating that? And what are some strategies that we can use to actually make sure that we're more intentionally using technology to enhance our well-being, enhance our wellness, enhance our productivity in the workplace, especially in the challenging times that we're living in today. So what specifically we're going to be talking about today? Well, we're going to be talking about an overview of some of the latest apps. We're going to be talking about a preview of the new Keela Mindfulness platform. And I hope that coming away from this, that maybe you'll see one tool, one app, one strategy that you will be inspired to make a commitment to do for yourself. And so I encourage you to, as we're moving throughout today's presentation, to take note of that, because at the end, I'm going to be asking folks to share what is it, at least one thing that they want to do to commit to in terms of making a change coming out of this particular training that we're going to be doing today. In terms of the work that I do and who I am, Sam has already said more than enough. A couple of things that I just wanted to note is that in my pre-pandemic time, I absolutely love live jazz and I love salsa dancing. And obviously that is really challenging to do right now. And so perhaps you are thinking about what is that thing that you want to do or that you love to do before the pandemic changed everything for you. And of course, I think I make the world's best vegan chili. If you had an opportunity to come to one of my gatherings, it's one of my most requested dishes. And so if that is something that is of interest to you, I invite you to connect with me after the webinar. Happy to share the recipe and talk about my love of cooking. All right. So with that being said, I want you all to let me know in the chat. And actually, I see you, so remind me about that. So let me know in the chat, what do you think is the best app in the world? What in your opinion is the best app in the world? Go ahead and let us know in the chat. What do you think is the best app in the world that's out there? Today's session is going to be talking a lot about apps and tips, and specifically around mindfulness, wellness, and productivity. I see Headspace, games, Notion, Tinder. All right, awesome. So I see the answers coming in, and I see lots of requests asking for the recipe for the vegan chili, Duolingo, Goodreads, Google Maps. All right, all of these are great suggestions, and all of these I think are probably rank on the list of really high up there when you look at an aggregate of it. But I want to offer you a different perspective on this particular question when we talk about apps. So all of the examples that folks put into the chat are examples of what I would call external apps. And so one of the things I want to share with you as we get started is I actually think one of the most important apps that we have is actually our internal app. And our internal app is essentially our ability to self-regulate. And that is what mindfulness allows us to do. It allows us a pathway to focus on the present moment, to be fully aware and connected to our experiences, our emotions, thoughts, feelings, and to do that without judgment, and to be able to navigate the challenges that we might face from a place of being responsive as opposed to being reactive. So I would actually, if I were answering this question, I think our ability to self-regulate is one of the best apps that we have. And so we're going to actually practice that right now, if that's okay with you, doing an exercise called the lion's breath. And this is an exercise that is also part of the Keela Mindfulness series that we're going to be talking about later on in the training. But I'm going to invite you to join me in doing the lion's breath, which is essentially breathing in fully and deeply in through the nose and out through the mouth. And we're going to do that together. And we're going to do that 3 times. And so I'm going to invite you to take an upright and comfortable seated position, a position that just feels right, that just feels good to you and your body. And close your eyes if that feels right. You might choose to place your hands palm up or palm down just above the knees. And just allow the body to settle into a position that just feels good for you. And follow my promptings as you are ready and willing and able. And let's start here with the first breath, breathing in fully and deeply in through the nose and out through the mouth. Allowing the body to settle and taking the second breath fully and deeply right here in through the nose and out through the mouth. Allowing the body to settle once more. And one final breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. Allow the body to settle. And if you chose to close your eyes, I invite you to open your eyes when you're ready. And of course, if you need to take a few more breaths on your own, I invite you to take as many breaths as you need. And one of the reasons I share this tool for self-regulation, particularly using breathing, is that it's an app, an internal app that we have that we are born with. We get it by virtue of our human experience. We have it from birth. It's our birthright, as one of my sisters says. It's free, it's portable, it's accessible, it reduces stress, it's simple and easy to do for those of us who are able-bodied, and we have ample evidence base. We have decades of research that actually show the evidence for this. And so it doesn't matter whether you're an Apple or Android user, you can download this right now by just taking a moment to pause and to come into the present moment. So with that being said, we've done our warm-up. I'm going to ask you, let me know, give me a yes in the chat if you are ready to get moving. We've done our warm-up. If you're all warmed up and you're ready to go, give me a yes. All right, I see yes, ready. Awesome. I see it coming in. Hear you, Roy. Yes, I do. All right, awesome. So we're going to be talking about different categories of apps. We're going to start with mindfulness. And I want to ask you if the Keela team can help me with the first poll about mindfulness. The first poll here that I want to ask you about is, have you practiced mindfulness before? That's the yes or no or not sure. Have you actually practiced mindfulness before? And so go ahead and take an opportunity to complete the poll that is popping up on the screen and let us know where you stand when it comes to this. Have you practiced mindfulness before? And I see also we have the other poll open as well. We'll come back to that. Have you practiced mindfulness before? So it looks like we have a large percentage of folks that have said yes. We have a number of people that are actually saying no, and some people who are actually unsure. So awesome. So this is a great mix, and we can go ahead and close the poll when you're able to, for the Keela team that's supporting. And we are going to share the results just very quickly so you can see that. And you can see that about 64% of us actually have some experience with mindfulness, have practiced mindfulness before. About 21%, 20 to 21%, it looks like no. And then we have about 14%, so not sure. So this is a really good mix, really good group. And so we have a good group, and we have a good mix of apps and strategies that I think are going to fit everyone that falls into each one of these categories. So thank you for taking the time to do that and for completing the poll. So we're going to get moving. And I want to just share what I'm going to do is I am going to just really rapidly move through a number of app recommendations. I'm going to talk about why I think they are great apps for you to consider. And then we are going to engage in a demonstration of Keela Mindfulness. And then we're going to just open it up to Q&A. So if you have questions throughout that you want to ask, put those in the chat. And of course, if you have apps that you want to add to the different categories that I don't mention, then by all means, put in your best suggestions. But I'm giving you my top 3 or 4 in each of the categories. And if you want to chime in, go ahead and put it on the chat. I'll be monitoring that as well. So let's start with meditation and mindfulness. So many of us are familiar with Headspace, are familiar with Calm, and those are apps specifically focused on meditation. And what I want to share with you is that I know that those are popular. I want to share some alternatives that maybe you haven't heard of. And my intention is, as I move through these, to share what platforms is available on. And also I want to just note that many of the apps are free, but not all of them are free. Some of them have a minimal subscription cost for that. And so I've tried to indicate that where I know that. But for the most part, I've tried to select apps that are free or very low cost. And so let's start with My Life. My Life is an app that I really want to recommend to you because it is an app that is really beginner friendly. And so if you're new to mindfulness, you're new to meditation, and you're looking for a mindful and intentional approach that really just walks you through the steps, gives you a little bit of the background and the history and the purpose and the research, this is a great place to start, especially for beginners. The other thing that's really cool about this is it allows you to track your emotions and your feelings, because it prompts you when you open the app. It asks you every day, how are you doing? How are you feeling? And based on how you're feeling, it is able to personalize recommendations and meditations, mindfulness-based walks, and other mindfulness-based activities based on how you're feeling. So this is one of the reasons that I'm recommending this, because this is beginner friendly. And so if you're looking to start and you're looking for a place to start that's going to give you context, but you also want something that's a bit more personalized, this is the place to start. And this is available for Apple and for Android. The next one is called UCLA Mindful. And for folks that are not familiar, this is from the University of California, Los Angeles here in the US. And they are known for some groundbreaking research they've done on mindfulness to actually prove from a scientific point of view the validity and the usefulness and the impact of mindfulness. And so one of the things I actually love about this particular app is not only is it available on Apple and Android, but it's actually research-based. And they have basic meditations that are available not just in English, but also in Spanish. And it has a particular focus too, for those that might have chronic conditions. There are some specific mindfulness-based tools that are available for folks that might be experiencing health conditions. And we also know that it also has informative videos to really help you understand the science behind mindfulness, some of the evidence base, as well as the things about posture and things of that nature. So it sort of goes into a bit more detail than you might get from a Headspace or from a Calm. So if you're looking for a research-based approach, if you're looking for what I might describe as a classical approach to mindfulness, this is one app that you might want to take a look at. And then one of my favorites that I actually use on a daily basis for my own meditation practice is an app called Insight Timer. I actually love the timer feature for this, where you can go in, you can choose what type of chimes or what type of alert you want to go off when you're done with your meditation. It tracks, if you use it every time you meditate, it tracks how many days you're meditating, how long you're meditating. You get rewards based on how long and how many days you're consecutively meditating. It also allows you to connect with the community of other folks that are meditating. It includes yoga and other types of activities and classes. So it's a massive community, lots of classes and courses, as well as just a basic timer function. So this is one of my favorites that I absolutely love, and it's free. Although there's a paid subscription, there's a huge library of actually free tools that are actually available to that. So I see Dave chiming in and Ashley saying that it's really awesome. So that's great. So with that being said, I want to transition us really quickly to apps that help us to really cultivate gratitude and appreciation. One of the things that we know, just like with mindfulness, there is a growing evidence base that shows us what the impact of gratitude actually means for us, right? And so, particularly in a time like this, we can be so fixated and focused on things that seem to not be going well. And gratitude is one of those things that allows us to shift our perspective, it allows us to shift our thinking and our emotions to the things that are actually going well, the things that we actually have that we can appreciate and be grateful for. So here's one app called Grateful, which is essentially a gratitude journal, and it's based on scientific studies that help you to really understand the impact of gratitude on our well-being. And it includes prompts to help you to think about what you are grateful for. And so if you're looking to cultivate a gratitude practice and you are a person that prefers to have a technology-enabled version and you have an Apple device, a tablet or a phone, then this could be a good place for you to start if you're looking to cultivate that using an app. Something else that's really cool is that for those of us who are using Slack, particularly in the workplace, one of the things that's really cool about this is there's a plugin called Hey Tacos that integrates with Slack, and it facilitates really automated shout outs and celebrations and other fun things that you can think of to randomly sort of message people and to send out to help really to boost team morale, help people to really feel appreciated. And so if you're looking for a way to help your team feel appreciated and you're looking for a way to sort of automate that process a little bit, Hey Taco could be one of those tools that you can use to help you to do that using Slack, if that's one of the tools you use for your organization. So let's talk a little bit about happiness. So we know that how we show up personally and professionally and how we're feeling is critically important. And so if you're looking to be intentional about cultivating happiness, one of the exciting things that we're seeing happen right now is that in addition to mindfulness and gratitude, there's also a lot of research that's gone into happiness and what it takes to be happy and what it takes to optimize happiness and what it takes to essentially optimize our mental and emotional well-being. And so I see Dave is adding another app in the chat for gratitude. So if you all have other suggestions for these different categories, please feel free to put those into the chat. I'm sure that the other folks on the call would really appreciate you for that. So talking about happiness, one of the first ones here is called Super Better. And this is an app that really gamifies the idea of building happiness. And so it uses research-based activities to help you to actually boost your level of happiness. So you're able to complete short games and quizzes and other activities, and you can gain points and earn badges and things of that nature. And the idea is that these are scientifically and research-based and informed activities that by spending time working on these and completing these, you're actually boosting your overall level of happiness and well-being. Another app that falls into this category is called Happify. This is also evidence-based, and this is really focused on helping you to reduce stress, address negative thinking, issues around mindset, and issues that are maybe more connected to specifically to mental health. And so if that is something where you're looking for a little extra boost, maybe you have the blues a little bit sometimes, especially during these winter months, and you're looking for ways to simultaneously reduce your stress, but also boost your level of happiness and this overall sense of well-being and mental health. This could be one app for you to take a look at. And Shine. Shine is also falls into this category. And I believe that Shine is also included a meditation and mindfulness aspect of it, but I know it more in terms of self-care. And so for folks that are using it as an opportunity to reduce stress, to reduce anxiety, and to be able to connect with people who share those goals, to build a community, to have accountability partners, this could be an app for you. And this is critically important when we talk about accountability. One of the things is that when we are trying to build a new habit, for example, with mindfulness or with gratitude or happiness in this case, or self-care, one of the things that we know from research that actually is helpful with that is actually having a community that can help to support you and to hold you accountable. And so this is one of the reasons that I think this is a particularly good app if you're looking to really improve your life and yourself in this particular area around happiness. All right, so far so good. So if this is making sense, if the pacing is good, give me a yes into the chat. And if it's not, if you have a question, you need me to slow down, let me know that as well. But if this is good so far, give me a yes. All right, so it sounds like it's great. And if you have questions, thoughts, comments, put those in the chat and we can definitely make adjustments if we need to. All right. So let's talk about connectivity and relationships. So one of the things that we know that we've been challenged by in this current in this current environment is that the way that we connect and the way that we sustain relationships has changed dramatically, right? Many of us are working from home. The way that we interact, even in public, with the mask and the social distancing, has changed how we connect. And so here are a few apps that can really maybe help to address that. So Fabric is one of the ones that I love the concept of this. This is available for Apple and for Android. The one thing about, I'll just start with the limitation. The one limitation for this is that there's a minimum monthly cost for this, but I think it's worth it if the concept actually works well for what you need. And so if you have lots of relationships that you're tracking, if you're the kind of person that you'll forget to respond via email, you'll forget to respond to someone's text message, or you forget someone's birthday, or you forget special occasions because you just have so many things going on. This particular app might be for you. It helps you to prioritize and track your most important relationships, to track those important details like those anniversaries, those birthdays, and things of that nature. And it reminds you to follow up with those people. It sort of automates that process so that you can offload that thinking and that worry, and you can let the app do it for you. So again, it does have a minimal cost, but I think if you're one of those folks that you're really intentional about maintaining those relationships and you need a little bit of extra support, it could be worth it depending on if this is a good fit for you. Something else that is connected to this is another app whose concept I actually love. It's called the 5 Love Languages app. And it's for those of you who are familiar with Gary Chapman, who's written the bestseller, The 5 Love Languages. And then there's like, I don't know, there's like a gajillion different versions of it. There's like 5 love languages for women, 5 love languages for men, 5 love languages for children and for students and for the military. So there's like 5 love languages for everybody. But nonetheless, the framework is sort of caught on fire, and they have a new app that uses the 5 love languages framework to help you to understand how you like to receive love and how you like to give love, and how your romantic partner or other important people in your life like to give and receive love. And it then prompts you with ideas about how to fulfill that love language need. So for example, if you are in a romantic relationship and your partner's love languages is one of their love languages is receiving gifts, right? They love to receive gifts. Well, this particular app, if that's the case, and you're you're not sure what to do and you're not sure what that means, this app prompts you periodically to check in with your partner, and it gives you ideas and suggestions for what types of gifts you might want to give your partner in order to fulfill their needs in terms of their love languages. So, and the cool thing about this is that you can do this for platonic relationships too. So we all have love languages, whether we're connected romantically or platonically. And so this particular app allows you to be used in that way as well. So another one here that I have is called DonutBot, and it is a plugin for Slack. And if you are in a situation where you are wanting to facilitate that water cooler aspect of the experience that we had when we were working more closely in person together, or sort of randomly bumping into each other in the hallway or on the way to work or going to lunch or to breakfast together, this particular app allows you to randomly automate the process of matching people up in your organization or your team to actually have virtual coffee or to have virtual tea. And so it's designed to improve team relationships. And so if one of those things that you're missing that you're trying to improve when you think about your team is to improve how people are connecting in the current environment, this could be a really cool plugin to use for Slack if Slack is one of the tools that you're using for your organization. So let's sort of shift a little bit and talk not just about relationships with each other and with colleagues and people in our personal lives, but I know that many of you are doing client-facing work as well, and particularly with fundraising. And so these two particular tools, Vidyard and Bonjoro, they're both different tools, but they do very similar things. They are video platforms that have a free version, but there's also a paid version as well. And it allows you to send customized, really personalized videos to folks to thank them, to check in on them. And so, as an example, if you were doing a thank you for end of the year donations, instead of just sending a thank you email or a thank you letter, you might actually have a team of volunteers that might actually use Bonjoro or Vidya that actually might create a video that says, you know what, hi Sam, this is Meico from Keela. I just wanted to thank you for your donation last year. It really helped us to do X, Y, and Z, and we're really grateful for you. Thank you so much. And to really quickly put that into an email and to send it out, put it into a Facebook message or however it is that you're communicating with your donors, and you'll be surprised at what that personal touch actually does to actually create a closer relationship, especially in this time where we feel like we might be isolated or disconnected because of the distance that the technology and COVID has created. So Vidyard and Bonjoro are two excellent tools to use for that if you're looking to really firm up those client relationships in a really personalized and different way that stands out. Loom is another tool that you can use for that purpose as well. Loom is also cool too because if you work in a role where you're getting lots of questions about how to do something, let's say you're working in a technical role, or people are asking you lots of questions about how to find this or do that in the CRM, and you're having a hard time understanding what people are describing in email, or if even if they're telling you verbally, maybe over Zoom. Loom allows the person to record and show you exactly what their issue is or what their trouble is, and then you can record a Loom and actually send it back. And over time, you can actually build up a video library that's FAQs and answers to those FAQs that actually makes it easier for you and for the person that might have the challenge. So a really powerful tool to, again, build those relationships, but also just to save you a bit of time and back and forth if you are trying to help someone and you want to just get clarity really quickly about what their issue is and how you can support them. So with that being said, I want to shift the attention a little bit as we begin to sort of round out my recommendations here. And again, I would love to hear what your recommendations are to talk about quote unquote technology addiction or technology exhaustion or overload. But as we do that, I want to actually see if we can get the poll back up that asks us about how has your amount of time spent online changed during COVID? So go ahead and let us know. And if folks, I know that some folks may have completed this before, but if you could do it again, we would really appreciate that. So how has the amount of time you spend online changed as a result of COVID? So has it increased? Has it stayed the same? Has it decreased? And it looks like we have almost 100% of folks so far, about 90+% of folks actually are saying that it actually increased. And so this is not uncommon. And so the next several things that I want to do is I want to actually share with you a few apps and a few recommendations to really help you with this, but you'll see the results on the screen. And so what does this actually look like? Let's talk about this in terms of apps. Well, I'm assuming if you care about the environment, this is one app, fourth app that you might be interested in. This is an app that has a free and a paid version, and it's available for both Android and Apple, and also has a Chrome extension. And it's an app that really gamifies the process of monitoring how much time you're spending on your phone and on your different apps. It allows you to set goals for how much time you want to spend on your phone. And if you meet those goals, then it plants a virtual tree, and that virtual tree grows. And over time, if your tree continues to grow, the company that created this app actually plants a tree in the real world. And so you can actually help to save the environment in a very real way by really being intentional and mindful about how you're using your phone. Now, the downside, of course, is that if you aren't very good with staying within the limits that you set for yourself, then your tree dies, right? and we don't get to see the tree planted in the real world. And so this is a great way to incentivize yourself to gamify that process. If you care about the environment, you want to make it a little bit fun, but you also at the same time want to be mindful of how you're using your technology. This can be a great way to do this. So, all right. So Siempo um, is another app and tool that I really like. And so this is one of the tools that for folks that actually have an Android device, you actually have an advantage here because this is developed initially for Android. And so for Android mobile devices, it is a really slick notification manager. And then for the desktop, it's also a really good notification manager for Firefox and for Chrome. And it essentially allows you to manage your notifications. And it also just allows you to be really intentional about blocking sites that are distracting and setting time limits on sites that maybe you want to visit every once in a while, but you don't want to be spending all your time on them. So it helps you to really do that. And it comes preloaded, at least the desktop version comes preloaded with the most distracting websites, and the settings are already set to block those, and so you can sort of go through and customize it based on what your needs are. But I really love this one. It's one of my favorite actually for the desktop browser. And I'm an Apple user in terms of my mobile devices, but if I had an Android, this is one of the applications that I would definitely have on my device. Momentum. So Momentum is very simple and similar. It's not as robust as Simple. It just does a very basic thing, which is it allows you to install a plugin for Firefox and for Chrome. And what it does is whenever you open a new window or you open a new tab, it allows you to set your intention so that when you open a new window and tab, you're able to actually see your intention and to be reminded of what it is that you set out to do that day. And you can have an opportunity to pause and to really ask yourself is what the website you're about to go to, the activity that you're about to engage in your browser, is it actually going to be helpful for you in terms of accomplishing what's on your to-do list or accomplishing what's aligned with your intention, or is it going to take you away from that? So if you're looking for something that's going to help you to pause and to reflect on that, this is a great tool to think about. And scheduling and task productivity. So Calendly is one of my favorite tools here. Allows you to schedule one-on-one appointments, to share your calendar, and to really cut down on the back and forth that you spend trying to get a meeting scheduled. And so if you schedule a lot of one-on-one meetings, this can be a good tool to really help you to do that. There are other options out there. Calendly is the one that I would recommend if you're looking for a tool and looking to know where to start. This is a place to perhaps look at that. I done this. So I don't know how many folks know about this, but just like with gratitude and mindfulness and happiness, there's a lot of research that has gone into the psychology of motivation and small wins. And one of the things that we know when it comes to accomplishing tasks is that there's actually some scientific evidence behind the idea of actually checking things off your list, however big or however small they are. Checking those things off your list, it actually motivates you to want to continue to move forward. And so I done this as a way that you can do this individually and also as a team to track your wins, and particularly in this remote environment, to help people to see that you actually are making progress. We actually are making progress. Here's how we're doing with moving toward our fundraising goal. Here's how we're doing with launching that new website or launching that new campaign. Creating a universal I done this list can be a great way to motivate people in between meetings, and can be an accountability tool for when you're in meetings to see like what have we done and what do we need to do next. So really love this particular tool and the idea behind it. And let's talk about email as we wrap up here. So if you are looking for a place to start here, there's so many strategies and so many tools that we can use. But one of the biggest complaints that I hear is that people feel like they're getting too many emails, they subscribe to too much spam and too many newsletters. And so Unroll.me is a tool that allows you to see at a glance, you put in your email address and it allows you to see at a glance all the things that you're subscribed to. And it allows you to mass unsubscribe from things. You go through and you can just sort of see what you're subscribed to, and then you can check or uncheck what you want to stay subscribed to, what you want to unsubscribe from. And it does that all at once as opposed to you going through each individual email. Now, the one thing I will say about this is that it is a free tool. And I can't prove this, but I feel like I have used this and I have seen an uptick in email marketing as a result of using the tool. So although I've unsubscribed using it, I have seen an uptick in email marketing, and I don't want to blame the tool for that, but I just want to put it out there that with free tools like this, where they collect your email address and they analyze your email inbox, there is a trade-off there. And so you just want to be mindful of that if you choose to use a tool like this. Boomerang is another one of my favorites. Although Gmail, since Boomerang has launched, has also integrated their own scheduling tool and reminder tool. But whether you're using the built-in tool for Gmail or Boomerang, which is also available for Gmail and for Outlook, this particular tool allows you to pre-schedule emails to go out during a certain time, and also to be reminded to follow up on emails during a certain time. So one of the cool things about this is that if you are like me, where you're working outside of traditional business hours sometimes, but you don't want to send an email and set the expectation that you're going to be available to respond at that time, this particular tool can be powerful for you to actually do that. So with that being said, how are we doing? So again, just check in. So is this making sense to folks? Are people enjoying it? This is making sense. Do we need to stop or slow down? Give me a yes if this is making sense, if you're getting value from this. And if you're not, if you have a question, please let me know. We can pause and ask questions. All right, so awesome. All right, so here's my last few tidbits, and then I'm gonna turn it over to the Keela team, and we'll begin to wrap things up. So one of the reasons we're hosting this training today is to really demonstrate that there are apps that are intentional about helping you to be more mindful and to be productive and to be well. And so this is not a technology bashing session. This is really about not to stop using technology, but to just be intentional about how we're using that technology. And so here's a really simple framework to help you to do that, which is to really, with everything, be clear about what your intention is, what your intended outcome is, and then use that to be able to make space for actually focusing on the priorities that are aligned with your intention. If you don't have a clear intention, you're going to have a mile-long to-do list, and you're not going to know where to start and what's important. So setting your intention and then making your priorities based off of that is going to help you to figure out where to start and how to manage your time and attention a bit more effectively. Then you want to block your distractions. And once you've done those three things, set your intention, made space for your priorities, and blocked distractions, then you've made space to actually live your life, right? To live, to serve, and to play. So with that being said, here are a few tips to help you just as we're wrapping up here. The first is, for many of us, we've given up our commute time. If we used to work in an office and we're used to commuting, or we're not commuting as frequently. And for many of us, we've replaced that with more work and with more personal responsibilities. So I'm inviting you to reclaim that time by actually creating a start and stop ritual for your day. For me, that starts with prayer, meditation, and working out and writing in my journal. And then I end it by closing my laptop lid at the end of the day and closing my office door, and perhaps going for a walk, or making dinner. And so you want to think about, what does it actually look like for you in terms of your start and stop routine as you reclaim your time, and then put it on your calendar to hold yourself accountable. Something else that I recommend for you to do is, if you don't already have a ritual for planning your day and for planning your week, I recommend that you actually do this. And you can use an app, you can use a journal, you can use a planner. I've created a planner here that you can take a look at mindfultechie.com/planner. But whatever tool you use, take some time to plan out your day and your week, and ideally do it by hand. Although if you are one of the people that you really want to use your phone or your tablet, then by all means do that. But make some time to actually plan your day and plan your week. When it comes to practicing social distancing, remember that social distancing isn't just about your ability to protect yourself and your loved ones from getting a virus, but it's also about protecting your mental and emotional well-being. And so consider what that means to practice social distancing with your technology. And so 2 easy ways to practice that to start is to turn off the notifications for apps that aren't mission critical and to charge your devices outside of your bedroom. So these are some really simple things that you can do to really get started with the social distancing piece with technology. And then finally, establishing your rules of engagement. So one of the challenges that we have is that there's so much uncertainty. And one of the ways we can address this is by actually creating certainty, by actually having conversations, establishing our rules of engagement and communicating those things, including simple things like, when are you going to be available for your work day and for your personal life? What's the best way to reach you if something is urgent versus non-urgent? What actually constitutes urgent versus non-urgent? And what's the expectation in terms of when you will respond based on how someone reaches you and if something is urgent versus non-urgent? And so these are some really simple questions that you can use to have discussions with the important people in your life, including your team at work, your family members, so that everyone is clear about when people are available, what you're working on, how to reach you if something is available. And that way you can go walk your dog or change the diaper or exercise and not feel guilty that you're letting someone down because you've communicated ahead of time how to reach you if something is actually truly urgent and you just happen to not be in front of your computer or your device. So with that being said, I invite you to consider what's one new app or what's one new strategy you will try coming out of today's training. And I also want to invite you to get the new life planning guide that I've developed for 2021 that includes a work life and tech life balance assessment. And so you can get that. We're going to include that as part of the follow-up for this. And I'm also, when you sign up for the life planning guide, you're going to be on the email list. And this is going to let you know when the app directory that I'm developing is actually going to be completed. It's going to be completed later this spring. And so it's going to be an exhaustive app directory that includes the apps that I showed you today, but also many, many more apps that are very centered and focused on mindfulness, wellness, productivity, and well-being in the workplace. And so if you're interested in being alerted when that app directory is fully completed, then go ahead and go to mindfultechie.com, sign up for the life planning guide, and you'll be on the email list, and you're going to get the life planning guide in the meantime. More information about how you can stay connected with me. And I want to thank the folks in the chat. I see people are putting in the strategies and the apps. These all look great. And so I'm going to turn it back over to the Keela team.
Thank you so much, Meico. I mean, I can attest to the intention planner. I have been using that quite religiously, and it has really helped me reclaim my day this January, especially with all the craziness of 2021 planning. So thank you. I know that we have Elsie coming on just to show us a preview of Keela Mindfulness. I can also say that I do that desk yoga one like a couple times a week. It is my favorite. All right.
I will
Elsie,
be sure to showcase that then.
Yeah,
hello,
perfect.
everyone. I'm Elsie. I'm from the customer care team here at Keela, and I'm very, very excited to show this. Meico, thank you so much for everything. I was furiously writing notes that whole time and then realized at the end you're going to send through the slide deck. So my hands are cramping a little bit. I'm very embarrassed. All right, let's get started, everyone. Okay. Now forgive me while I figure out how to share my screen. Here we go. Can everyone see the beautiful purple and white of Keela? Okay, let's get started. So I'm here on the Keela dashboard. So anytime someone logs into Keela, this is sort of where they start. This is mission control. And if you're like me, sometimes you might enter the day already a little bit overwhelmed. So I definitely need to take some time in the morning and do a start ritual. But this could be something that could be part of your start ritual for folks who are subscribed to Keela. So from the dashboard, up in the top right-hand corner here, so sort of from the organization settings menu, so you'll be very familiar with navigating around this, you can navigate down to personal settings. So here's where you can start to access this mindfulness that we're going to be talking about. So into personal settings we jump, and then we've just got this whole tab in personal settings, an entire section dedicated to mindfulness. If you click on here, and you can sort of learn about it up here at the top, but we've got 10 sections in here, and I think you'll find you might recognize Meico. So in here, you can come in here and you can take a moment whenever you need, right from inside Keela. And you can click on these videos and access them either directly in your Keela account, or if you want, when you click play, you can navigate to YouTube from here as well and watch them in YouTube really big if you really want to see Meico's face. So we've got Lion's Breath was the one that Meico took us through today. It's right in here. And I think you said yours was the desk yoga was your favorite, Sam? We've got a couple of these
All of
as
the
well.
other ones.
Yeah, me too. I love the pink, by the way, the pink shirt, beautiful. But yeah, if you're subscribed to Keela, if you're a Keela customer, here's how you can access it right in your account. No matter who you are, as long as you've got a Keela account, you can access this, and it's all included in your subscription. Happy mindfuling.
Thanks so much, Elsie. We can jump into some questions that have come in. We've got one from Deb.
Stop
For
sharing.
a few more low-tech people, what is the one app you'd recommend to be most helpful for mindfulness and planning, etc.? What do you think is the most essential?
So I would actually, in terms of low tech, I'm a paper-based person, and when it comes to planning, and so the intention planner, or there are lots of other planners out there. So find something that works for you. It can even be a blank planner. So my sister was sharing with me that she used the model for the intention planner to create her own blank planner and template, and so that is an option. If you're looking for an actual technology tool, I actually really like the simplicity of Insight Timer, because you can just go in and use the timer and that's it. But it also gives you the ability, if you want to dive deeper, then you can check out the yoga classes or the other things that are happening there, but it's not overwhelming. So if you're a low tech user and you want to find something that's really simple, a paper-based planner is one option to start with. And if you're looking for an actual app, the Insight Timer.
Perfect. And I think this one's a little bit of an oxymoron, but do you have any tech recommendations for combating screen fatigue?
Yes, so that's a really great question. So one of the things that's important is to take breaks away from your screen. Eye strain is very real, and I was reprimanded about that when I went to the eye doctor the last time. Like, I need to really make sure that I'm taking time away, that I'm adjusting my posture and seating position so that I'm not too close or too far away from the screen. Um, Taking time when you're on Zoom calls like this, for example, if it's permissible in the context, choosing not to be on camera, right? And turning off the view where you're seeing a million people at one time, because that causes sort of cognitive and emotional overload sometimes, particularly if you're doing so many back-to-back meetings. And then in one of the videos, I think it the office yoga, one of the office yoga ones where we do the eye rolls. There are actually eye stretches and exercise that you can do. So those are a few things people can think about and sort of try out to see what works for them.
And to be honest, the eye stretches are something I never knew I needed until I started doing them.
Yeah, and they're very
We've got
very simple to do. Yeah.
Yeah, and they make a big difference. I should be wearing them, but I've got my blue light glasses as well, which have seemed to have helped this year.
Yes. One more thought here is, one of my colleagues, she recommends, and this is scientifically based, if you're spending a lot of time looking in one spot, so your screen, for example, taking an opportunity to look away from your screen and then look at something that's far away, and then bring your vision back to the screen, like that allows your eye a little bit of exercise too.
Almost like a reset. I like that.
Yes,
I just
exactly.
did it.
Exactly.
We've got a comment from Dave just saying that the Insight Timer is the best for starting out. It's super easy to use and free, so that's nice.
I concur with that. Thank you, Dave.
I actually have a question from me, and not that I need it today because it's so beautiful and lovely, but seasonal depression, the SADs essentially, that's pretty common, especially in Canada. So I'm wondering whether you or anyone from our northern communities have any recommendations for dealing with SADs with technology.
Yeah, so I have a sad light, or I forget what I forget the technical term for that. So I use that in the morning when I get up in the morning, if the sun is not out, and I also use it in the evenings because it gets dark. It really really soon here. And so I use that for just 20 to 30 minutes in the morning and in the evening, and that works for me. I know that there are also fancy alarm clocks you can buy that mimic the rising of the sun that
Mhm.
also have a similar effect. So people can get on Amazon or whatever your place is to look at that. And we can, so yeah, you can look at that and see if that's an option that's for you. But the satellites, you can get a really economically priced one that is pretty simple, and you can use it in your office or in your bedroom. So that's one place to start. The other thing that I would suggest as well is it's so important to get sleep. And so one of the things that I do is I actually set an alarm clock to an hour before my bedtime to actually prompt me to stop what I'm doing and to get prepared for bedtime. The reason this is important is you are more likely to experience the fullness of the symptoms with SAD if you are not well rested and taking care of yourself. So you need to make sure that you are hydrated, that you are getting enough sleep in a consistent way, that you're not undersleeping or oversleeping, and that you're eating well as well. Like, you have to be doing those things consistently.
I think those are all great tips and definitely ones that I will take note of. Usually Vancouver is quite rainy and dreary in the winter, so it's never a good time for anybody here.
Yes, walks
Um,
walks and
walks.
exercise. Yes.
Yes. We've actually got a comment from Adrian saying that the sad lamp was too light, but she finds that rock crystal lamps are quite afflicting. Oh, Meico, I think we lost your sound.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that. So that one was new for me.
Lisa,
Crystal lamps.
Lisa also mentions the 20-20-20 rule. So every 20 minutes, look at an object about 20 feet away for 20 seconds. And apparently that quite helps as well.
Yes, awesome. Thank you for that, Lisa.
And I think we've got one final comment from Tracy, which is likely the most important of the day. Don't forget the vegan chili recipe.
Yeah, so I'll make sure that I include that as well for the resources.
If anyone has any further questions, we've still got a nice 6 minutes left. If not, I can start winding it down, but I'm sure that we will have a lot to take away from this session today, a lot of apps to try, see what fits in our routines the best. Yes, agreed, Elsie, this was wonderful. You've given me some ideas. I'm super jazzed on that forest app. I'm getting that as soon as I get off this call. So yeah, thank you so much again, Meico. Technology can be great. And it has given us some much needed ideas to slow down today while still being effective in our day-to-day, both personal and professional lives. Before we sign off here, I just want to remind you that our next webinar will be on Wednesday, January 27th at 10 a.m. Pacific time, 1 p.m. Eastern time. The session will be led by Director of Griffin Fundraising, Sam LaPrade. I will not be moderating that one because there's too many Sams in the room. It gets confusing. My colleague Mel will be there. She'll be leading a session on how to fall in love with your donor database and 3 other fundraising love stories. Her session will energize you to turn 2021 into the year that you maximize the potential of your donor database, share inspiring stories, retain more donors with solid stewardship plans, as well as survey your donors to speak directly to their hearts. Toby will pop the link to register for that in the chat. And lastly, I just want to remind you that the session today was recorded, so you'll be receiving the recording along with Meico's slide deck and directory of apps that he's listed today towards the end of the day. So thank you, everyone, and I will pass it off to Meico for a final goodbye.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for the opportunity. As always, it's a pleasure to talk with the Keela team and the Keela family. And I hope people actually find benefit from the Keela Mindfulness that's been launched in the app, in the CRM. And I hope that people will really take to heart this idea of just picking one thing. Start small. Pick one thing or one strategy that you will try and see how it works out. And I would love to hear from you. So you'll have my contact information. I would love to hear from you in the next 90 days or so to see how it works out for you.
All right, well, with that, everyone, I will say goodbye.